Welcome back to the Owen Handy Show. I'm Harold Bolton, sports editor George Bremer. We're joined again, as always, by AU men's basketball coach Owen Handy and by the HCAC Player of the Week, Stanley Duncan. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Good to be here.
Good to be here.
Coach, first of all, can you talk a little bit about Stanley in the last 2 weeks, what he's done? He was D3 Team of the Week 2 weeks ago. This week he's named the Conference Player of the Week. It seems like it's been a pretty incredible run.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good couple of weeks. Stanley's a fun guy to coach because he shows up every day, works really hard, and like the rest of our team, he's a really coachable guy. So, and didn't have any doubt about his talent or skill level or his basketball intellect coming in. But especially with guys who are really good shot makers, there's a little bit of a transition time to adjusting to the speed and tempo and physicality of the game. So whereas in high school, you've just got longer time and more space usually to get a shot up, and in college the defenders usually they're more quickly. And Stanley's not just a shot maker, but that certainly making that adjustment has been a big part of his success the last couple of weeks. And I would say he's also benefited from the fact that we've had so many guys who can score, and we've sort of gone in phases where teams prep for us and game plan around one guy, and then somebody else gets 30, and so they game plan around that guy and somebody else gets 30, and so Stanley's certainly benefited from that too, but he's had a fantastic couple of weeks.
Stanley, Coach kind of touched on this a little bit, but it's an individual award, but obviously it tends to be kind of a team accomplishment. What have your teammates meant to you to help you kind of have the weeks that you've had here?
Well, everyone on my team helps me in some sort of way. With it, if it's Trevor or Micah driving in, kicking the ball out, or if it's Brett Anderson setting a simple screen, or Nathaniel making that extra pass, they all do a great job of, in a way, taking pressure off me. That allows me to do what I do best and put the ball in the goal.
Looking at the broader picture, you've won 5 straight, and now, if the season ended today, our favorite phrase, you would be in the conference tournament. Do you like what you've seen from the team, not just record-wise over the last couple of weeks, but the growth that you've seen from this group? Yeah,
absolutely. We've talked about this sort of on an ongoing basis, but I think the learning how to win close games has been a big deal for us. And we've become a really, really tough team in terms of we're not always physically tough, but we're pretty mentally tough most of the time. And I think there's a belief when we're in close games that we're going to win. There's a belief when we fall behind that we're going to come back. That's something that's partly based on self-confidence, on guys knowing they're skilled, knowing their ability, and partly based on team confidence, which is based on having some success. So, we've been on a roll, but part of that is it's self-sustaining. Once you prove to yourself that you can beat some people, you grow in confidence and you're able to play through some ups and downs. And I think we've done that really well over the past couple weeks.
Stanley, with that confidence, how important is that coming in Wednesday night when Mount St. Joe is going to come here? Obviously the conference leader, team for the last 2 years that's kind of led the conference. How big of a game is that on Wednesday night?
Well, Mount St. Joe, first team in the conference in the power rankings. I mean, that's pretty much, what you're looking at. And with how we've been playing lately, and I think we just have to be consistent on the defensive end. And if we do that, everything else will come in place.
I saw some things on Twitter, and obviously that's where the most important things happen. But it sounded like your student section really came out and had a big showing on Saturday. How important is that crowd effect, and how important could they be on Wednesday night?
Oh, I love it when there's a student section. I'm not the only one. I mean, the whole team does, the coaches. It's just makes the atmosphere and the game that much better, knowing that there are kids behind you supporting you and your friends and everyone else.
Coach, looking at Mount St. Joe, you played them once earlier this year at their place, nice close game. What do you see from them? What challenges do they present?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is, like you said, that was a close game. We gave up they went on a 19-0 run. We scored the first 4 points of the game. They scored the next 19 points, and we came all the way back to tie it with under 3 minutes to play. So I think the first thing is we've got to have the confidence of knowing that we're capable of playing with them and beating them. And we should have that based on how the first game went. That's not to say we're going to win, but you have that confidence based on experience. So in terms of what we see from them, they're a team that is extraordinarily disciplined at both ends of the floor. At the offensive end, they run a handful of things really well over and over and over, and as soon as you make a mistake, they pounce. So to say we have to play mistake-free basketball defensively would not be accurate, but we've got to play smart basketball at the defensive end of the floor, and we've got to have a short memory because we are going to make some mistakes. We're not going to play flawlessly, and we've got to be able to overcome those and have the mental toughness like we have had to continue to do the things that we need to execute at that end of the floor, even when they don't go perfectly every time. And then they've got a couple of really talented players who have given us some trouble over there. Joel Scudder is a fantastic perimeter shooter, guy whose range from here probably goes to Daleville or Chesterfield. Femi Thompson is a guy we've had a really hard time containing his penetration over the last couple of years. They start two guys who are shooting better than 50% from three-point range in conference play. So we think we're pretty good offensively. They're every bit as good offensively as we are. They're actually a little bit more efficient, but don't play quite at the same pace we are. So if you look at, we're averaging, I think, 12 points a game more than they are, but we're also averaging 12 possessions a game more than they are. They are a pretty fearsome offensive machine in terms of how they play.
Stanley, that first game so early in the season, I think it was the first conference game for this group. How different is this team, this Anderson team, now than it was the first time you played Mount St. Joe?
I believe that we're more consistent. I mean, that first game we came out and we were down, was it 17-2? And we try not to put ourselves in a hole. We did against Transylvania, we did, but we were unfortunately enough to get back in the game, and something like that I believe we cannot do against Mount St. Joe because they can hold the lead. So I think if we play defense and stay consistent, we have a chance to win.
Coach, obviously weekends with Earlham on the road. What challenges does Earlham present?
Yeah, well, we've lost 2 years in a row on the road at Earlham, and they're a team that's much improved at this point in the year from where they were, early in the season when we played them before. They were a bunch of sort of disparate parts starting to come together as a team. And they've got a lot of really talented individual players who, at this point in the year, are playing much more cohesively than they did early. Coach Polikoff's done a really good job, brought in a really talented recruiting class and blending them with a couple of returning guys who are pretty darn good. And so it's just that's a completely different animal than it was the first time around. The first time we played them, I bet you they've practiced, had 3 times as many hours in the gym now as they had the first time we played. So that's one where we've got to be focused on Wednesday, and then we're going to have to refocus pretty quickly on Saturday and not take that. That's an opponent based on our first result that would be easy to take lightly for our guys, and that would be a big mistake if we did that.
Stanley, I mean to ask this every week, and I've never gotten around to it with one of the players, but people see the T-shirts, the no gifts. What's this all about?
It's just a motto that we see, and we use motivation as a way that nothing's going to be given to us, and we have to work every second of practice, game, that every possession counts, and that we're not going to be handed anything at all. So we just try to go out and work as hard as we can.
Is that philosophy, has that been kind of, a driving force during this 5-game winning streak?
I think so, yes. I mean, in that 5 games, a triple overtime game, a 2 overtime game, that's tough. At any point in the overtime you may, every possession counts. And that one offensive rebound, that one steal can mean the game. So we just have to keep working hard throughout the game.
Coach, as always, what's it going to take this week for it to be a successful week for the Ravens?
I always tell you that to be a successful week, we've got to, be focused on getting better and that sort of thing. I want to win 2 this week. So for me, at the end of this week, if we haven't won 2 games, I'm going to be disappointed.
All right, well, thanks a lot. Huge game here on Wednesday night. Tip-off is at 7:30 here at O.C. Lewis Gymnasium. The Ravens hosting conference leader Mount St. Joe.